Hi there, we got Jason Cassidy in the Colored Corner.
Glad to be here finally.
Yeah, glad to have you. Been a while. Well, you've been traveling and you've been surviving all the rains and rushing up and down the Brazos Valley. What's going on?
We've got a new record out, and we're trying to get that out there and push it. And Cowboy Girl's doing really well for us, so we're just out here promoting and running the roads and trying to get the new music out.
Well, let's talk first about Cowboy Girl, because it is the single and it is doing well on the chart. I was fascinated by that record the first time I heard it because it's really very traditional sounding. Why'd you choose to do that?
I was trying to do what everybody else wasn't. I was trying to kind of throw a curveball in what seems to be a changing, constant changing scene, and we're still doing that in Texas. There's a lot of people that are still doing it, and it's probably the most traditional song on the record. And when I heard it, this is one of the ones I didn't write on the record. And, one of my friends, Ronnie Vines, wrote it, and it just, the second I heard it, it sounds like something that George could cut tomorrow. And
absolutely.
Still could just bring, help bring country back to everybody's ears that we've been missing. And I changed a little bit of stuff on it, the bridge and a few words here and there, and made it a little more my style. And it's people, I guess they're missing it as much as we are, because I'm stuck in the 90s as far as, country music and stuff.
Not a bad place to be.
We do is kind of similar to that, and we stepped out of the box a little bit and did a little more rock and stuff on this record than I have in the past. But I'm still a traditionalist, and trying to, hopefully there's a lot out there that want to hear it.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting to think, and I did think just what you said. George Strait could record that, and it would be perfectly fine. I mean, everybody would accept. And there's a little sense of Western in this song that you just don't hear at all anymore.
Right.
So that appealed to you,
Right.
no doubt.
Very few, Cody Johnson,
Yeah.
Cody Booth. There's very few of it left. James Land.
Uh-huh.
And I never really lived up. I'm not a cowboy by any means, but I grew up in the country, and it's just, that's where my heart is. It tells more of a story in that feel, and the traditional, the steel guitar playing and the fiddle and stuff. And that's what I miss. It's kind of a lost art.
Yeah, and people can dance to it, which
Exactly.
is even better.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned the new album, and the name of it is 717. And I was reading on your website about the meaning of the name. I think people would like to hear about that.
The 717 is my birthday, for starters, and then after I was getting out of a long label situation, which was my first deal, and there was a lot of good in it. And it was, it's kind of like every first label. You think it's your time, and it's about to change your life, and you're going to be set for life, and you sign everything, you don't know what it is, and then pretty soon you ain't got nothing to show for it.
You
take
wish you
everything.
hadn't signed it.
Exactly, and you're like, what does this mean? Well, they take all your songs and all your publishing, and you don't get, I haven't got a cent from none of that. And I learned a lot from it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I just wish I could have got out of it a lot quicker than I did.
Yes.
And but once that started going away, and we were, kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, I started seeing 717 everywhere. Every time I look at my phone, it was 717, or street signs, or mile marker signs, or TV in the down at the corner. Facebook. You have 717 likes, or it's just everything. And I was telling my neighbor about it, and she looked it up, and it's a thing called angel numbers, and it's not biblical, but it's just a group of numbers, and it said it was, when we looked up that one, it's all about being in where you need to be at this point in time. And
so it's very lucky, 2 sevens,
right,
I would think.
Right, and my whole, my phone number, my number's always been 7, but it's just the group of these numbers says that you're in the right place for where you're supposed to be, and God's kind of leading your path to something big that's coming up, and it's a constant reminder that I'm doing what I need to be and I'm doing, and I'm on the right path. So.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's nice that you felt good enough about what you chose for the album that was the appropriate title.
Right, and it was hard because I was going to name it Back to Me, just about getting back to what music I want to record and what I want to write and what I want to wear, and because for a while I didn't really have that choice. I would have some input on it, but it never really would go very far. So, and then once this started happening, I was like, it'd be cool to have a little deeper meaning or a mystery about it instead of just saying Back to Me, because nobody really knows what that is.
Right, and that's more personal. It raises a question and makes people wonder why you called it
right.
that.
Right.
You know, and then there's this good explanation on your website.
Right.
And what is your website?
TheJasonCassidy.com.
TheJasonCassidy.com.
Check it out. It's got links for our tour schedule and all of our social sites and iTunes. And it's got the first 2 records on there, and it's got our new one, which is my first independent record.
Right.
And well, my first one was independent until I got with them, and then I gave them all everything, and then, you know, but now we're back to good, and we're doing it on our own, and we're trying to do it the best way
And you're
possible.
doing it in the right place, because this region is the place to be an
Exactly.
independent artist.
Hey, there's no better place in Texas.
No, there
You know,
really
I was
isn't.
born and raised here, and
In spite of the rain.
Right. Right. Well,
Where were you born?
New Caney.
New Caney. Oh,
Yeah.
so that's why you're doing the Sawmill Festival. It's
Mhm.
homeboy.
Yep.
Back to home.
Exactly. And I wrote a song that's going to be on my next record. I've already got 2 albums recorded, and I was going to put
Oh,
them all on
wow,
this one.
great.
And I was just going to throw them all out there. But I was like, you know, I'm going to kind of stretch it out. I'm going to do 10, and then maybe November or February I'm going to release the other 10. But I've got a song called Hometown Hearts Don't Change. It's going to be on the next one.
Good.
So,
Well, that's fast.
yeah.
To do, I mean, that's going to be 2 albums in 1 year,
I
basically.
can't wait.
Good.
I'm just going to start doing that, just putting out as much. Because we're behind on the game, you know, pretty much. You know, Aaron's on his 13th, and, you know, and Randy's got all these out there, and we're just we're following in their footsteps, and I just want to get as much music as we can out there and gain fans quicker. It's like, you know, it's like throwing a bunch of bait in there,
Yes.
catching fish. You
Yes.
know, if you got, sooner or later, you're going to hit something, you're going to record something or write something that strikes a fan, you know.
Well, and I looked at your tour schedule, and you're working a lot too, and that's a great way to get fans. Have you worked with Billy Joe before?
I haven't.
Okay, so that's
I
going
heard
to
he's
be
incredible, though.
going back home, but a new experience too.
Yeah, hopefully we'll write a song afterwards.
Great, that would be
That
wonderful.
would be, so.
Well, what else is going on? Have any private life, or you just work all the time?
It's pretty awesome. I'm with the family Sunday through, you know, Wednesday and Thursday, and I kind of try to hold down the fort. You know, well, I'll do what my wife lets me. You know, she runs it around there, and I kind of do honeydews during the week, and I build cars and trucks, and that's kind of my out, I guess, you know. And,
Well, good.
and growing up, that's all I really did is build trucks with my dad, and you know, that's me. And that's another thing about my record cover. I was looking at the reviews on iTunes, and the last one was some guy said, "Bad cover, great Keith Whitley cover." You know, I was like, and then he says, "Almost lost me at the cover because it kind of looked like bro country." I'm like, if you knew me, you know that where you'll find me is in a black T-shirt, a ball cap, and sitting in an old truck. You know, it's in a '67 truck, and it pains me to know that the mainstream music has gotten it where we can't. You know, being country boys and stuff, you can't say bro, you can't say truck, tailgate, all that stuff that we used to like. You feel weird saying it now, you know. I'm like, man.
Well, and you know, you think about Wade Bowen's song Trucks, and yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there has been so much commercialization, so much what I call fake redneck.
Right.
And it does have a bad reflection
Yeah.
on people who are just going around being who they are.
Right. And they have their list of 30 words that they use in every single song and just flop them around. And I'm like, man, I can't say this or that. Not that I would, but in my everyday life, you know, that's my life, is being in that old truck. And that's what brings me back to my childhood, and that's back to me. You know, it's not, you know, in a pea coat with this Stetson hat on that was on the cover blaming on whale and stuff. That's not me. You
Yeah.
know? But, you know, I still wear a cowboy hat, and we play rodeos all the time. We write songs about it, but it's not, I don't feel comfortable like I do in this. You know, it's like I put on a button up last night, and I started to button it, and I immediately turned into my shoulders, like, I feel like Ralphie in the bunny suit coming down the stairs. You know, I like black T-shirts, and that's just kind of that's what my dad wore growing up, with the pocket on the, I don't wear the pocket, but
Yeah.
And Texas National Outfitters, that's one of our sponsors, so I was gonna wear their shirt. So they support, big time supporter of Texas music, and that's where I got these awesome Arapama
And
fish
they are
boots.
fabulous.
And but that's what we need, is just everybody supporting everybody. You know, this scene we need all musicians, not the small ones, you know, talking about the big ones, or the big ones not wanting to help the small ones. We just got to be a family here, and that's what's going to keep the scene growing and keep.
Right, and it
you know.
really has been wonderful for years, and I think it continues. And we're glad that Jason is back to him,
Yes.
and we're glad that he's got a nice traditional song in Cowboy Girl.
Let's
So-
keep requesting it. Let's get it up the charts. Let's
Yeah,
get us,
keep requesting it.
um,
And look for Jason's 717 album.
Yep, it's out. Came out last Tuesday, and it's doing really well. And the pre-sales debuted in the top 10, and then I think it went up to top 20 just as for regular sales for as an independent artist. You know, we haven't got this big promotion, this big marketing dollars and record labels. Just it's the fans and everybody talking about it. And you know, if you got good stuff, I hope I do. Apparently, it's going to spread. You know,
They will come.
If you build it, they will come. So,
Great. Thank you, Jason.
thank you, Pam. Thank you, Best in Texas.